What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for WWE's premium live event, SummerSlam. Yes, SummerSlam 2022, July 30th. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow House of Rasslin on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, this was a very, very unique event. This was the first WWE premium live event in the Triple H era. It was very interesting. For me, I had a unique and awesome experience with the guys from True Hill Heat podcast. Shout out to Romeo and all the fellas there. I was actually doing a watch along with this, so it was really fun. This was actually my first watch along to do with a wrestling event. I think I've done one in the past in a previous podcast. Yeah, for a little bit, but it wasn't nothing like this. This was fun. I had so much fun. And just getting different perspectives on the different matches and wrestlers was so cool. I had an awesome time, man. But just to go through the results and then just give you my take on just the matches and just how everything played out. The opening match was Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair defeated Becky Lynch. The second match, Logan Paul defeated The Miz. The third match, Bobby Lashley defeated Austin Theory. Then you had the Mysterios defeat Finn Balor and Damian Priest, the Judgment Day. Then you had Pat McAfee defeat Baron Corbin. You had the Usos retain their WWE undisputed tag team titles against the Street Profits. You had Liv, who retained her WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Yes, SmackDown's Women's Championship. And in the main event, you had Roman Reigns retain his WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Those were the results. This was, to start off before I go into detail with the matches, this was a very good palate cleanser for the WWE brand as far as major events. It wasn't totally perfect, but it was you could tell this was going into a different area, a different direction. And this was very clear the way the show opened up. Kudos to Triple H. Hey, he said it during his the brief interview that he had with the different wrestling media members. I believe it was yesterday, that it's going to take time. You know, people are like, "Oh, what changes are going to be?" You know, watch the product. I like that answer because, quite frankly, you can give them all the answers, and let's face it, in this internet era, most promotions, whether they you like them or not, they could tell you everything they're going to do, and no one's going to be happy. So it's like, you know what? Just watch. And I like that. That's keeping everything to the vest. Very smart. The first match, Becky Lynch, Bianca. This was a solid match, but up until there was a point where Becky Lynch, if I remember correctly, forgive me guys, I'm recalling what happened, but it looked like she apparently suffered a shoulder injury. It just, the way she was moving and just favoring it really didn't, you could tell there was some discomfort. But they started fighting outside. There was a point where Becky she grabbed Bianca's hair and started pulling her to under the turnbuckle and just started beating her. They did this was very physical. And there was a point where Bianca did a front splash on the shoulder that Becky Lynch was hurting, and me and the rest of the guys were just like, "Oh no, wrong shoulder! No, don't grab that one. Grab the other one. No, don't do that." But man, there was another spot in this match where Bianca Belair did a Spanish fly on the second rope, which is really cool. I like that. I dug that. Of course, Bianca Belair, she displayed her strength various points in this match, it never gets old. But in the end, Bianca Belair wins. She's celebrating. Her and Becky Lynch, they shake hands there, doing their thing. And mind you, this is after the match. All of a sudden, music hits. Bayley has returned. So she's walking down the aisle, which was kind of like, it was reminiscent of like WrestleMania, going way back. It was reminiscent to, I don't want to say WrestleMania 8, Royal Rumble 2020. Yeah, it was reminiscent to how that was structured as far as the entrance. So Bayley comes out. Then more music hits. Dakota Kai comes back. Then another song hits. And you have Io Shirai, which is now known as Io Sky, come to the ring. And they confront Bianca Belair. And apparently they're a faction. And Becky Lynch stands next to Bianca Belair. And they just have this face-off. And we're off to the races. So Bianca Belair. Too many B's, man, in this match, man. You get tongue twisted. So Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Shirai, now known as Io Sky, are on the Raw brand. So that adds a new, fresh of intrigue to the women's division that's kind of been very, you could say, stagnant somewhat before Triple H has taken over. So let's add something different, which I'm looking forward to. Another little wrinkle to the Triple H era, and that's the one thing I can tell you that I've noticed, and I know people are expecting and assuming and think we're supposed to get these big changes. And I said it from the SmackDown where Stephanie McMahon came out at the beginning, this past Raw, and I noticed this past SmackDown. It's the little things that they're doing that people are like, oh wow, I noticed. It's the little things that when you look at it, you're like, oh my God, it's like these big changes, and it's not. It's the little things. And again, if there's one thing that Triple H learned from Vince McMahon, and granted, Vince McMahon has his flaws and all this crazy stuff, but one thing that he did have that made WWE as big as it was, one of the good things that he had, was attention to detail. And that's something that Triple H has learned, and you're going to see a lot of little things, a little attention to detail that you're going to see in this match. Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, the post-match. I'm actually looking forward to what's going to happen on Raw with the women's division. Not one debuts, three, as you can say debuts, returns, three returns in the women's division. So that should be very interesting how this plays out, and it just adds more intrigue to if and when Sasha Banks and Naomi will return. With this, for me personally, it looks like it's more inevitable. I know some of you want them to go to AEW. It would be nice, but from what I'm seeing, look like they're heading back to WWE pretty soon. Then you had The Miz versus Logan Paul. Logan Paul is probably, I'm not going to say he surpassed Bad Bunny, but they're equal as far as quick learners. Like Logan Paul, I'm going to say this. Logan Paul wrestled better than Dominic. There you go. And it's not a knock at Dominic. I know it may seem like that, but the way he came across like someone that has been wrestling for like 5-7 years. Like, just the little things, his movement, his timing. Granted, there were some things just like, I'm not really okay. But man, other than that, like it's like, man, how long? Like, this dude's only had like 2 major matches. It feels like he's been wrestling for like 5 years. Like, this is insane. But man, there was a point where he did a moonsault. He did a awesome crossbody in the ring. Like, his crossbody, and mind you, this is one of the most simplest moves that we see on wrestling. But man, the way he executed was like, yo, he executed like a dude that's like been wrestling for like more than um, 5 years. Like he looked like he'd been doing this for a decade or so. Um, he did that. There was a point where Ciampa got thrown out. Then I would say the highlight of the match was Logan Paul executing a frog splash from the top rope onto the announcer's table. And the reason why I say that's the top moment was because he landed perfectly. Like, if you wanted the perfect bounce and then the perfect landing onto the table, that guy did it, man. And that was a crazy spot. I liked it. I am impressed with Logan Paul. I know social media side, just there's some things that really rub people the wrong way. But as a professional wrestler and what he's doing in WWE, you got to give him his props. Like, the guy's doing this thing, and from a few interviews, he said, "Man, this shit's hard." And hey, I've seen matches a few weeks back where all women's wrestling with Maria Kanellis, and I was 2 rows back, and like, wrestling ain't no joke, man. This ain't easy, and I give him, man, kudos to Logan Paul, man. He is doing a terrific job, and the thing is, he's only going to get better. So that's a really solid thing for WWE and what Triple H wants to do. He finished this match using the Miz's finisher. 1, 2, 3. He wins. I thought that great match. Then you had okay, how do I pronounce it? Mcafee. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And Mansoor. There was a water fight with the maximum male models, and you saw Max Dupree and Maxine Dupree. Just see where this goes. That's all it is. That segment, I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm not going to say it's good. It was just there. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know, like, it's hard for me to, like, critique it in any way because we still don't know what maximum male models are going to be doing. Like, they're just modeling. Like, there's nothing intriguing about it. That's just what they're doing. Then we had Theory and Lashley. Lashley came out. It was a nice shot during his entrance where he posed and you seen the fireworks behind him. That was really cool. They had some nice shots tonight with the wrestlers getting the fireworks in the background. Really, really dope. There was a point where Theory he was on his back and he rolled back and like lunged forward into a drop kick. That was a nice drop kick. But in the end, Lashley got him in the full Nelson. 1, 2, 3. Lashley wins. At this point, a lot of people are like, all right, man, is Theory going to cash in later that night? Which I'll get into later in this review. Then we had the Mysterios versus Judgment Day. There was a point where Ray used the chair. There was a point where they did a top rope Hurricane Rana. And right away you could tell, like, it's like, okay, Edge is eventually going to come, because Judgment Day, all 3 members came, and you knew it's like, okay. There was a spot where Rhea Ripley, like, lifted Dominic on her shoulders and, like, hit him on the apron. Then there was a point where Balor had a chair. All of a sudden, lights go out. Flames to these stairs. And lo and behold, Edge has returned. Yes, Edge has returned. He's got a nice look. Had this red jacket. This couldn't make out the design because it was just like a really gothic design. You could say like a gothic design. He came out. He speared both members, Priest and Balor, in the ring. Mysterio's got the pin. 1, 2, 3. So we have this face-off between Edge and the Mysterios versus Judgment Day. I'm actually intrigued by where this is going, because you're like, okay, is Dominic going to turn on his dad? is Edge doing this? You know, is he going to be like this, or is this like a decoy to get Dominic to join Judgment Day and he was the leader all along? Like, pretty interesting how this goes and plays out. I'm actually really intrigued with this, and it's fun. Like, this was a fun match. This was a fun return from Edge. Mind you had Edge, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Shirai, now known as Io Sky, come back. So this was fun. This was fun. I liked it. Then you get to the Corbin McAfee match, and there's okay, so Pat McAfee had some almost like gym shoes. I think it was different from what he had at SummerSlam. Not SummerSlam, WrestleMania. But like there's a few times where he almost like slipped in like very dangerous spots. Like the spot where he jumps on the turnbuckle, like he was losing his balance. He was on the apron at some point in the match. He's like going, it was like, whoa. Like it was really like, ooh, man. One of the cool parts I liked about this match was the entrance where Corbin's going to the ring and you get this shot of this choir singing bum ass Corbin and all the crowds chanting. I thought that was really creative. I liked that. But yeah, there was a jumping Hurricanrana, the suplex that McAfee performed, the moonsault he did on the outside. And then to finish the match, it looked like he was trying to do a Canadian Destroyer, but like he like didn't get all the way, and it was like a Canadian Destroy roller almost. But he got the victory. So McAfee wins. Hopefully that's the end of the feud and we just go into a different direction. Then we had Drew McIntyre come out. He cut a promo. Then we get to the Usos versus the Street Profits. Now, I want to make this clear. Like, I want to say from the spot where McAfee, like, jumped on the ropes and just, like, almost slipped or anything like that. And mind you, that's not his fault or anything. Like, things happen like that. Plus, they were in Tennessee. It's summer. The humidity, the ropes. You know, we've seen this in AEW a few years ago where the humidity, the ropes, and, like, that stuff happens. But it feels like from that moment on in that match, for the rest of the pay-per-view, it was just really, like, overall, it was like, okay, it was cool. But, like, as you went through this journey to the end of the pay-per-view, like, there are just certain things you're just like, like, okay, like, if you take certain things from after that point in the Corbin McAfee match, like it would just make so much sense. But yeah, this Uso Street Profits match, there was a point, I'm gonna go right to it. Montez Ford did his normal frog splash, and normally he goes very high and lands and rolls, goes to the pin, 1, 2, 3. But for some reason in this match, it was just really like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because we're so accustomed to seeing him go really high, land, roll, come back, 1, 2, 3. But he did a RVD frog splash. He jumped really high, hit the one of the Usos, like just really sold it, and it's like he took a long time. And as he did that, like, you're like, okay, this is it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like 1, 2, 3, and then it was like 1, 2, and he was to kick out, and then it was just like, it was just really weird because he tagged Dawkins, then he went outside, and the Usos were fighting, and it was like, wait a minute, Dawkins is the legal guy, and Dawkins, instead of going in the ring, went outside. Montez Ford got super kicked, then Dawkins got, like, it was just really weird. The Usos did their double top rope move. Like, it was just really like, all right. Like, it was just once that Montez Ford frog splash like hit, and he just took a long time to cover him. It was like everything just really it was just really weird. But the Usos win, so we'll see if this is the end or if this is leading to something else at the Clash of the Castle in September. Then we get a Charlotte video package. Then we get Kid Rock kissing a woman, and it did not look good. And no, it didn't. I don't know what he said. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I was on a watch along, because we just didn't want to freaking, like, we didn't care what he said. Then once that happened, you had Riddle just come out of nowhere, cut this promo. He calls out Seth Rollins. Him and Seth come. They just start brawling. And then Seth does the curb stop on Riddle. All of us, as we were doing this in the watch along, like, we were really like, you canceled the match for that? Like, you could have just, like, huh? Like, what? Like, honestly, looking back, they could have had that segment on SmackDown instead of tonight on SummerSlam. Like, they could have had that at SmackDown yesterday. Just fit it in there, boom, boom, and that was it. Like, I don't understand. Today, I don't understand why they did it. Maybe Monday and maybe a few weeks later, it will just make sense. Because, again, Triple H is in charge of the creative, so in a few weeks it'll make sense. But for tonight, it did not make sense. It should have been on SmackDown instead of SummerSlam. Then we had Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. At this point, during the watch along, mind you, all of us are in different locations and everything. And for me, the stream just started lagging. So I saw the beginning, and then, like, towards the end, I did see the ending where, actually, most of the beginning part, I want to touch on that because Ronda Rousey was, like, beating the hell out of Liv Morgan. Like, it was looking like a squash match. Like, Liv Morgan's going to lose. And somehow it happened, and from that point on where Ronda Rousey was beating her up, you know, Liv got the upper hand. But the ending, like, the way it ended where Ronda had her tapped out, but then Liv like, had her pinned and stuff like that. Of course, the big question after everything happened was, is Ronda Rousey turning heel? And an interesting tweet by Shayna Baszler, and I'm going to read this. And it's on her Twitter account, and she tweeted, "A true champion wouldn't accept a win like that. Ronda Rousey is the rightful champion." So we can tell that they've been planting the seeds of, like, a Ronda Rousey Shayna Baszler tandem, which I'm inclined they're gonna add at some point Sonya Deville. So they're gonna have 3 MMA wrestlers on their roster, not in a roster, in a faction. So I would not be surprised if that happens. I'm interested to see where this goes, but that was an interesting call. Again, after the middle of the Pat McAfee match, it was just a lot of things. Just was like, it was things done within each segment. Just like, okay. Then we get to the main event: Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. This was a wild match. I do got to say this: if we didn't get Crown Jewel, and if we didn't get constant matches of Roman Reigns, because I know we got Crown Jewel, what other pay-per-view did we get? Well, Brock was in the main event picture at day one. Like, if we didn't get so many Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns matches this year, like, this would have really stood out. But because we've gotten Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar so many times, this match was like, but this match was really cool. Like, I do gotta say, like, this match was something you would see on a video game with the stuff that they did. Like, this is something, most of this stuff you would see in a video game. Like, this was a video game match. Roman Reigns comes out. Brock Lesnar comes to the ring, and then he turns, like he's halfway down the aisle. He turns back around, and he drives a tractor to the ring. Not any tractor. This tractor has to be, it's a tractor that they use in arenas to move stuff around, which is like really big. He brought it to the ring, and it was like just as, actually it was bigger than the damn ring. Like, me and the guys were just like, man, I was like, this is really close to the barricades. Like, it was really close. But man, he brought that. Then he jumps on, he lifts the lever up, and he gets on the top, and he does a diving Luthez press on Roman Reigns to start beating him up. And that's how the match starts. Then there was a point in the match where Roman got his offense in, did a bunch of Superman punches. Lesnar get knocked down, get back up. Lesnar did his Suplex City suplexes. Roman got up eventually. But then there was a point in the match where I'm going to say this was actually the coolest part of this match. And I will say it was just, this was probably just as cool as when Brock Lesnar suplexed the Big Show in the ring, and the ring exploded on SmackDown in 2003. So, Brock Lesnar got the tractor trailer, the tractor, and he rammed it into the ring, and it was more the side of the ring as you enter the ring, and he lifted the ring up sideways. Like, this looked like something that a freaking 8-year-old kid who had Tonka trucks would do to their WWE action figure ring, where they would just lift it up as like, oh, this is pretty cool to do. Like, it was something that a freaking 8-year-old would do with their figures and toys and everything. So he lifts it, and Roman just rolls out the ring. Before that, he lifted Roman Reigns and rolled him in the ring, and then he lifted the ring. So he does that. Then music hits, Theory comes out. So Theory attempted to do the cash in, which he was unsuccessful in this match. He got his ass beat by Roman and Brock Lesnar, and never cashed in. Then at that point, the Usos came out. They just started helping Roman, to the point where Roman just got the briefcase, started beating Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar with it. Then Roman Reigns and the Usos grabbed every type of furniture that was there and piled it on top of Lesnar. Roman got the 10 count because it was a last man standing match. Roman Reigns is the winner. He is the undisputed Universal Champion. We'll see where this goes from here. We know that he will face Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle in September, which is the day before All Out, which is going to be a really cool wrestling weekend. So yeah, that was the SummerSlam show. Like I said, I know, like, it was just really weird from Baron Corbin, Pat McAfee, to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. It was just really weird. I tweeted, it was like I watched one SummerSlam, but it was like the tone was like two different tones, and it was just really like, okay. And granted, this was Triple H's first SummerSlam, and you go back to the first takeover, it was like, okay, there was a few things here or there, but eventually we're gonna have a really good, interesting, intriguing, that's the key word. WWE has not been very intriguing in a long time, and with these storylines, with the returns of Edge, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Shirai, this is going to be very intriguing. This is on the Raw side, so we'll see where this goes. Like Triple H said in his interview with the press at the Nashville tryouts, just watch. It's going to take time. He does have a plan. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But man, overall, this was a decent and fun pay-per-view, especially for a Saturday night in July. Like, this was a fun pay-per-view to just enjoy and just enjoy the spectacle and see what it is. And I know my colleagues, shout out to JR Bang and Cameron from First Black Champ podcast, they were down there watching everything, so I know they had a blast. But I also got to give a shout out to Romeo. Give me a second. Yeah, Romeo, Joshua, and oh my God, Steven. Those guys were awesome, man. That was fun. Thank you so much, True Hill Heat podcast, for allowing me to be a part of the watch along. I had so much fun. But yeah, man, this pay-per-view, WWE still, again, it's going to be a work in progress, but you can tell this is a WWE that we've kind of grown accustomed to back in 2017, where it's like, okay, this is going somewhere before it just got. But yeah, this is going to be interesting where this plays out. We might see a few returns to WWE. This was fun. This was fun. I think that's the good thing about all this that's happened with Triple H taking over creative and just what we've seen. SmackDown last week, Raw this past Monday, and SmackDown yesterday, that it's the little things that's making it a watchable program where it's like, that's stupid. Like, no, there's things you got to tune in to, like, follow along and keep track of. But man, this was fun. See where this goes, but that is my review for WWE SummerSlam July 30th. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And yeah, it's late as I'm recording this, and I want to get some sleep and watch Ric Flair's last match tomorrow. So with that,